head face down on the desk.
I don't think anyone can see him.
Well, he clearly had too much to drink last night. Like other people might have done, maybe.
Yeah, that didn't help because it doesn't come from the breath. Watch that.
I mean, look at the state of the boy. Right, so basically, you know the drill. Large capital Q, colon, type your question out, suffix that with a question mark. Makes it very easy for Ted to find the questions and pass them on to Her Majesty Pim, Queen of Pirates, my co-conspirator. She's that way. As usual, she's in charge.
Am I?
Well, we let Ted think he's in charge, though, so...
He's still
face down on the desk, so that's okay. To my left, we have Snoozy, Queen of Hounds.
Queen of Dickheads today.
Yeah, she seems a bit... I don't know. Yeah.
Because the other one's in the bed, so she can't sit there.
Right. Okay, so you've been dry fasting for a bit. Tell us about it.
It's about 85 hours now.
Ooh.
I'm dry.
Mm-hmm.
Dry in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It's been quite good. I did 3 days before. I was very, 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 very cold and very, very tired. I did get a bit tired yesterday, but I haven't been excessively cold this time around. So now it's 3.5 days. I'm aiming for 5. Yeah, it's a lot easier than water fasting, in my opinion. I don't get as hungry, but a dry mouth.
Dry mouth. 60, how many hours did you say?
85.
Yeah, not 60 anything. 85 hours.
No food, no drink.
All right. And I see you have your glucometer and your ketone doings there. Are you going to share that with us at some point too?
Yeah, we can do that anytime you like.
Right.
Well, we could have if I had brought the actual needle.
Ted will make a hole in you if you like.
It's good if you bring all the stuff when you're going to do that.
All right. Where is the needle?
In my office.
Yes.
I'm kind of parked in here.
Well, that's why I'm asking you where it is so I can go and get it for you.
Well, it's probably easier if you just move and let me out then.
All right.
So you can...
Talk amongst yourselves. Welcome to fucking amateur hour.
You need to actually move because I can't get out if you're going to sit way.
All right. Don't panic, Mr. Mannering. Don't panic. It's all under control.
You are not allowed to go out. Only Mummy.
Literally, it's like herding fucking cats around this place. It really is. It's unbelievable. Sometimes. You can't get the help, boys and girls. I mean, for a start, Field Marshal Ted, face down on the job still. Hey, not even twiddling the knobs this morning he wasn't, for goodness sake. Yeah, he's completely one-eyed.
You know, they do recommend that you tape your mouth when you're dry fasting. So I shouldn't even be talking.
Right.
Makes everything harder.
I suppose it does, yes.
So I'm sacrificing my mouth for you peoples. Right, so you can move back again, or do you want to be super huge?
I could be a super huge pumpkin-sized head.
Oh, I got it.
This beret won't seem to sit as it should.
Oh, no.
I know.
What are we going to do about it? So you want me to do this now?
Yeah, and then we could get into some comments and questions and things. I see that Jonathan was first in with the send the professor all your money. Yes, Ted has quite an upkeep, to be fair.
Oh, I was selected already.
There you go, yeah. And yeah, congratulations on 32 months as a soldier in the Meat Militia. That's Master Sergeant Jonathan, for those that don't know who that is.
Master Sergeant Jonathan.
Yeah. That's him. Ouch.
Ow.
Ping.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
I still have blood. It's still coming out of me, so
Right.
I'm not completely dehydrated.
I see.
Maybe I'm turning into a vampire or
A
something.
vampire. The world is a vampire.
Right, so 85 hours, we're testing blood sugar first.
Blood sugars.
See that on camera? Oh, 3.9. That's kind of lowish.
And do we know what that is in
I
Freedom units?
suspect that it's around maybe 70 or slightly under.
There you go. It's a little bit low, isn't it?
A little bit low.
Still, that's fine.
Right, let's try the ketones then.
Yes.
Because with that low blood sugar, you should have some ketones. Sure.
Well, it depends on what you've done between rising this morning and right now.
Ta-da. 3.
Well, that's some.
That's some ketones.
There you go.
Yes.
I mean, the goal of the whole deal isn't ketogenesis anyway. Ketogenesis is a necessary byproduct. Yes, a necessary byproduct of it.
Of me actually producing my own water.
Yes.
So if I could stop being so dry, that would be good.
There you go. All right, so let's see if there's any questions or any kind of interaction out there.
Yes. So apparently, I make some short videos packed with good info, and a few low IQ people try to start arguments with me. Waste of time.
The link for Pim's Fine channel is in the show notes underneath this Fine presentation here, if folks don't know where that is. Anybody? Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't actually tested ketones until now, but it's interesting to see because that tells me that finally I'm producing properly amounts of water, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's good to know. Just for
deuterium depleted water.
Yes.
Sorry, go on.
Good to know for ease of mind.
Yes.
No, I'm not. You know, I've been over 3 days and I'm still not dead. I don't know how that works, but you know.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the Q's questions.
There you go. There's one or two starting
we
to.
don't need to fucking jump all the way down there.
We're doing a Harry because we've been so self-absorbed while ever we've been pissing about and stuff.
Nice to meet you too, Daniel. No, we won't scroll even.
Oh dear. It's going to be one of those days, isn't it?
Teddy's grading homework. Does he have that big red pen ready?
He's always got his big red pen ready, his Ted. My word, I can't do a thing with him. He's dreadful.
Right. Daniel also has a question.
Very good.
Why are sardines not good?
Sardines are fine. Tinned sardines in oil, different story. The oil is probably rancid and the tin is probably leaching plastic products into it. That's why I wouldn't do that, especially if you've got a psoriasis issue like what Lily has, which also probably is quite a bit to do with oxalate dumping that she'll be doing based on the other silly things that she's been doing recently. We love you, Lily, but it's silly stuff. It really is silly stuff. Even Ted said so.
I think Danger Mouse is a little bit premature here. Shout out to Pim for handling the questions very well.
She does, with aplomb.
Today too. Well, I guess we'll see if it works today. Bart, have you ever thought about dressing like Emperor Palpatine?
Something dark side, something complete. How was that?
Yes, very good.
Yes, I have. I have lots of dress-up kit. It's great fun.
Best tinned carnivore fare for the forthcoming apocalypse spam? Question mark?
Do you speak English, Mark, at all?
Best tinned carnivore.
Master Chief, would you go and make sure Mark isn't having a fit or something, or a stroke, or he's probably having a stroke. Ted's having a stroke.
I'm not sure what fare is supposed to mean.
I don't either. Ted's having a tremendous stroke. With his
but let's just translate that to best carnivore food, maybe, for the forthcoming apocalypse.
I see, right. Okay, it could be that, yes. Best tinned carnivore food. There's not really any such thing as a good tinned food on the basis that tin's aligned with plastic.
That's the problem.
I would suggest some well-dried jerky or something like that as your staple, because that keeps quite well. And you'd probably need a walk-in cool store in the bunker for the Cocoa Pops, wouldn't you?
Or you can pickle some eggs.
Some what, sorry?
Pickled eggs.
Pickled eggs.
Pickle them yourself.
Right.
Wait, I'm trying to click this one.
Yeah. Or you could go all like, Alive in the Andes or whatever it was with the football team, or the recent one. What is it we're watching? Yellow Jackets. Football team goes down in an aeroplane, ends up eating each other.
Yes.
And it all goes Lord of the Flies and stuff. So you need a kind of bunker.
No, you're giving it away. What if someone hasn't watched it? Now they know exactly.
Well, I didn't give up much of the plot there, did I? Or even any of the many intricate, twisty-turny things that they threw in, including everyone's gay or part of a minority. It's a Netflix thing, so it's a very woke. There are no straight people or white people. Or no, that's not true. There are, but they're vastly, vastly underrepresented. It's
that's a bit harsh too.
You're spoiling all my fun.
Yes, that's why I'm here.
Right, she's here to help.
Wow, no water.
Correct.
Yep,
for
no
her.
water.
As I say, I was drinking
other things
last night. Even. Yeah.
Could a vitamin C flush help with NAFLD, or would it just lead to kidney stones?
I don't really see a benefit in it myself. I wouldn't be convinced. If there are others that want to absolutely stand by and swear by that and say that's something you should do, that's their funeral. And yours if you want to take their advice on that. Not for me.
I mean...
What?
Wouldn't a fatty liver be easier dealt with in other ways?
Yeah, stop eating carbs and fructose, mostly.
And alcohol?
Yes, and that. Oh, snoozy. Oh, did you drink too much last night?
I did not.
Did you?
You need to sort your eyebrows out.
Oh, you smell like you drank too much last night.
Well, everyone in here smells.
Yes. Oh. Snoozy's going to answer the next one.
I'm the Q master?
Yes,
I see. Apparently I look a bit like a prune. Thanks.
Rude. You don't have to sit there and take that.
Oh, shall I just fuck off then?
No, you get to give it back to them.
Oh, I don't have the saliva for that. Too much talking. I am wondering if one's triglycerides will rise during a 5-mile walk from baseline if one is fasted.
Yes, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the first phase, and then there'll be a maintenance leveling phase.
It's just like I'm not doing that.
And then down there, in the bed, and then it will start to nearer the end. Super chat. We've got some super chat action. No singing.
Will a carnivore experience any nutritional deficiencies by eating exclusively slow-cooked meats that are heated to 200 degrees Fahrenheit? Briskets, ribs, etc. Don't different vitamins break down at higher temperatures?
There is no evidence to suggest that anything other than that is true and that you will receive everything that you do need. My personal anecdote on that is in nearly 10 and a half, maybe 11 years, whatever it is now, of eating almost entirely no plants, mostly, I haven't fallen down dead of any kind of deficiency or even shown any signs of any kind of deficiency. Except in patience for fucktardery. The Niccoli no balls O'Neo. Tune into my station again tomorrow morning for yet another video about James de Niccoli no balls O'Neo. Right, sorry.
One thing that would be leached out is, potassium and minerals and such, but you can just consume the meat juice from the cooking and you'll be fine. But sure.
Yep.
There's so little vitamin C in meat anyway, but some of that will kind of go away.
The short answer is that supplementation of a nutritional kind on a carnivore diet is almost never necessary in a given case by case.
Good. Now, what's your take on cancer as a metabolic disease and the role of the diet in prevention and treatment? Also, is a low glucose ketone index, GKI, and therapeutic ketosis important in this context?
Okay. Whether or not this is a chicken and the egg thing in terms of cause and effect. Is it this? Is it that? Is it genetic? Is it metabolic? I think it's a combination, and I don't really know where it starts necessarily. But once you've got cancerous tissue that's growing, we also know that such tissues do need a vast quantity of either glucose or glutamate. So if we block both of those fuels, then healthy cells, which can still oxidize fat, will continue to oxidize fat and will live. And the cancerous cells that can no longer do that because they've turned off the mitochondria, that's part of the process, then we might starve them out. And I'm not laying that out as it's that simple and that's the answer. Because if it was, everyone would know that already. Probably
slow it down.
Yeah.
Properly.
And then there are allopathic interventions available of all sorts, both chemical. You
could also dry fast.
Yes, I was getting to that. Good point.
Today we're only talking dry fasting because there's nothing else on my mind.
Right, dry fasting today is the topic. So chemical interventions, radiation-based interventions, or there also seems to be some quite interesting anecdotal stuff about people who do a 21-day fast, or, a bit shorter than that if it's a dry fast, because that works quicker, supposedly. And that can also be very efficacious as well. None of what I've said there is, I'm saying I know what the cure to cancer is. That's not what I'm claiming, and I'm not making any kind of promises to people in that regard. I'm just saying those are some things that I know have been reported to have an impact, at least, by way of slowing the process down, at least. And there have been examples, N equals however many, of people that say, oh, it's stage 4 irreversible, I'm going to die soon, cancer, and now I don't have that anymore. Isn't that great? So it does happen.
It does.
Tell us more about dry fasting, though.
What do you want to know?
How's it feel now? Give us a 5-minute update.
Still a dry mouth. That's been my biggest issue this time. When I did 3 days, I didn't have that issue. But now I had it from the start. So one thing that is consistent with dry fasting is that you will have a different experience every single time you do it.
Yeah, except I do have at least one thing that happens to me every time I dry fast, and it happens at around about day 3. And it's like intense spasming, low back pain, possibly even some kidney pain involvement, who knows. And I usually just stop dry fasting at that point because it just feels like that's not a good thing to be doing.
There could be 2 things. Maybe you need to prepare better for the fast and not just go in from being a dickhead with your diet. Or...
You must be talking about Ted.
Or, I've heard...
Yes?
That you will get pain in whatever organs need to be healed because of excessive autophagy releasing all sorts of shit when they die and such things.
Excellent.
So maybe you've been drinking too much alcohol and have kidney issues.
Issues.
That could be it.
Are you taking the pus out of the Kiwi accent?
I would never do that.
Good.
Then I might be thrown out of this country and be no house motherfucker.
Yes, that's it.
How does aerobics damage the body? What positive adaptations could aerobics trigger, if any? If VO2 max really improved, by the way, has that any relevance for health?
Well, that's a lot of questions.
Yes.
That's a whole seminar.
I shall just sit here and sleep.
That's a whole seminar. Okay. Long-term, long, slow distance endurance style training over hours and hours, many times a week for years on end, is absolutely not good for a human body. The training adaptations include a lowering of the muscle mass over time and a unnatural hypertrophy of the cardiac tissue that can lead to cardiac problems. And it also predisposes that person to a very high likelihood that their habits, once they stop being quite so athletic-y, will lead them to type 2 diabetes, obesity, and early death from all of those kind of things as well. I don't suggest that this long, slow distance zone 2 endurance training is a good thing to do. And I don't believe it's the best way or the most efficacious way to increase your VO2 max, which is what you mentioned there. The way to increase your VO2 max is to exercise maximally and supramaximally, to stress that capacity in such a way as to cause it to be more effectively trained. It doesn't make any sense to train below it for that purpose alone. And VO2 max is an associate to health in general. It's not the cause of it. Hello, Fluffy. Professor Fluffy's in the house. Professor Fluffy's in the house.
Don't be mean.
Oh.
So were you done with that?
Yes. Good question. Thank you, Daniel. Well, good questions. We should charge for 4 questions there.
Yes. Put it on the account.
Yes, on the account. No commas in your questions. One at a time.
Omega-6 and 3,
Yep.
Where's the sweet spot? Is omega-3 as good as promoted and omega-6 so bad if it's not from seed sources?
You don't need to go after and seek a lot of omega-3. What you need to do is absolutely avoid omega-6, you need to avoid omega-6 from plant sources, because there is some omega-6 in the saturated animal fat, but it's in a format that isn't as damaging as the plant format by way of deuterium and inflammatory response and ratios of different sorts of fatty acids and such. Omega-3 supplements are also, well, in at least one pilot study, a couple of people, some idiots, found out that 2/3 of the samples that were tested were actually rancid from commercially available, so-called properly prepared omega-3 supplements. That's worrying, isn't it? If you want to find that paper, it's in the journal Nutrition. And if you seek out the words aldehydes, Pim Johnson, and some other clown, not Fluffy, it wasn't her, you will find it. Or you can email one of us and we'll tell you where it is.
Oh, don't email me. I have no clue.
Email me, I'll tell you where it is. I'll give you the I'll give you the link if you're that lost. Oh, Fluffy, it's terrible, isn't it? Did you drink too much last night?
Don't blame the dogs.
Somebody drank a whole bottle.
Mm,
For goodness
It
sake.
wasn't
Well,
me.
apart from that much.
but it smelled good.
Yeah, ginger wine. I'm told. By whoever it was that-
I have a very good sense of smell, and I think it's even better now. He was eating chorizos, and they smell so fucking good. And I
You're
could
welcome.
smell them for hours.
I'm here to help.
It's not actually bad. It's like the best smell on earth is probably coffee, but coffee doesn't taste as good as it smells like. And it was a bit like that. I could just actually enjoy the smell of it, but I wasn't hungry really, so it wasn't a huge problem.
Fluffy shouldn't be sitting by the Swedish flag. She should have her own flag. She's Chinese.
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 The practice of sun gazing,
Yep.
beneficial to one's health and evidence-based?
Morning, and not directly at it, I would suggest is probably a good idea. But, you know, one should never stare directly at the sun morning, noon or night. Yes.
Question. Are you
Question.
still urinating, Pim? Yes, I am. So, the first time I did 3 days, there was plenty of it for 2 days, and then it went down. This time, very low until today. So something is upregulating. Finally, so I'm hoping that I will be less dry as well.
You may have activated your BAT to produce some metabolic water for you.
I might have,
Who knows?
but it's been slow to get there, apparently.
Yes.
Obviously not as much as a normal person who's drinking water would urinate, and yes, it is dark and all of that. So the doctor said, "You are dehydrated." Right. Ooh. I have thin skin on just my forearms. They cut easily. Labs said I have low platelets. My doctor had no answer. Any idea why?
Sounds like you need to consult We would need to sit down for an hour or so and work through your history to get any idea of what's going on there. Yeah.
It is said that non-nutritive sweeteners raise insulin. Is there actual measured evidence of this? If so, how strong is the effect? Anecdotally, I never feel any impact.
Yes, there is at least one study I'm aware of that was being undertaken at a university I was working at about 15 years ago at the time. That was published, and I can't remember the exact magnitude of the effect, but there was definitely an insulin response to the artificial sweetener. Absolutely, that was of a statistically significant nature. I don't know about clinically. And in terms of, is that causing a problem for a given person? Again, if you're not feeling like there's a problem and your body composition is what it should be and it's stable, and your energy's good and your skin's good and you feel good, it's probably good. Most things that quack and waddle like ducks are ducks.
I mean, I can say that I know that stevia affects my insulin, but it's not a problem because I don't get any craving from it, I don't get hungry, and it's just a little dip in my blood sugar for a short period of time. But I guess it's also dependent on how much of it you consume.
Yes.
So if it's not a huge problem, I mean, it's not ideal, obviously, but who cares? Who cares?
Right.
Is it necessary to boil blood before drinking it in a cold glass with ice on a hot summer's day? It's gonna coagulate if you boil it, surely.
I would say no, but also I would say clearly there are issues that you and I probably need to talk about. You clearly have issues.
You have issues.
You have issues. You have issues. Oh, God.
We have a super chat.
Super chat. No singing.
You say, don't start carnivore overnight. I want to start soon. Are there more serious consequences, or was that to avoid the diarrhea or cravings, etc.?
It's to give your microbiome a chance to adjust. So you slide out the bad stuff slowly over several weeks rather than just dumping it out. That way you don't upset your microbiome quite so much, and it changes and adjusts more gently, and it doesn't fuck your shit up. Literally. And if your bowel becomes inflamed for such a reason, that can have systemic effects. Most inflammation is set off in the bowel in the first place. So,
very good.
Yes.
Why triglycerides are bad and HDL is good? What's the difference between triglycerides and the rest of lipids?
Triglycerides are the form in which fats are stored and transported a bit. HDL is a lipoprotein carrier of lipids. The HDL is good thing is in reference to a false claim that LDL is bad, okay? And so as such, it's really meaningless. I mean, both classes of lipoprotein carrier exist precisely because there is a length of DNA encoding for its generation, that DNA having survived at least 3,800 million years, and probably longer than that, it seems. The difference between triglycerides and the rest of the lipids, well, all lipids are in slightly different classes and have slightly different effects and uses in the body, so not sure what the question actually is. Thank you for the question, nonetheless.
I mean, HDL is for transporting lipids, but not in triglyceride form. Or does it?
Yeah, it does.
Whole triglycerides?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and cholesterol and other non-water soluble.
And triglycerides is the form that is stored in your fat tissue.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And other membranes and such.
Exactly. And when you break them down for oxidation, the glycerol backbone that holds the 3 fatty acid chains, that's the thing that you make new glucose out of, gluconeogenesis, mostly. Isn't that cool?
Mm.
You
Yes.
learned something today, maybe. Don't know.
Yes. Right. Have you recorded any videos reviewing the Framingham study, heart study?
Not specifically or focused thereupon. Normally it's if somebody else mentions it and says something stupid about that I correct them on their stupidity.
Pretty good.
That's what I do. You're welcome.
How would one increase nitric oxide naturally the most?
Well, meat contains quite a few nitric oxide precursors. Naturally being the caveat that you threw out there. So food is one way.
Food. Good.
Well,
Good.
meat specifically, which contains the nitrates and stuff. That can be broken down to NO2 and all of that. What are your thoughts on that one?
I don't really know.
Right.
Not my area of expertise.
It's not,
nitric oxide.
yeah, I mean, really, my expertise, such that it is in nitric oxide, is only in the context of as an exercise physiologist.
I mean, the only actual research I've ever read on that is that study when athletes were drinking beetroot juice to increase their nitric oxide, which seemed to work really well.
Yes.
But do you want to drink lots of oxalates just to get more nitric oxide?
No. And then when I'd finished being an exercise physiologist and was then a cardiovascular pathophysiologist, it was then relevant in terms of the nitric oxide drugs. But in terms of doing it naturally, well, I suppose exercise. There you go. Do some exercise and eat meat.
Very good.
Yeah. While you're at it, you might as well ground electrically, block blue light from your eyes after dark, and take some raw products.
Don't drink ginger wine.
Ted.
General thoughts on established or potential benefits of astaxanthin?
Well, at the end of the day, for me, mostly in terms of antioxidant effect anyway, you can get that by being grounded electrically, directly from the earth. There's your electrons. You don't need an electron donor. In terms of other potential things, I really don't know. I haven't read much about it, other than as an antioxidant molecule. What have you read, if anything?
Not much more than that, I don't think. But I, when I was analyzing those, not fish oil, krill oil has astaxanthin in it, and it also gives a very specific peak on an MNR analysis, but I never got to the root of the stuff and whether that is problematic in any way. So, I don't know. That was a lot of words for giving you absolutely no information whatsoever.
Well, what you said was you have identified that it shows up very clearly.
No, I don't know if it actually was that. That's my guess.
You're saying there was a peak there that you thought probably was it, but okay.
Yeah.
Fair play.
And if it's problematic, I don't know.
Right.
Anyhow. Methionine-glycine balance, how does it affect our health? It's said that dietary methionine restriction protects from cancer.
There are a lot of things said about a lot of things by a lot of people, well-meaning and otherwise. The end of the day, your job is this. Eat meat and animal fat. Drink water plus or minus salt. Plus or minus dairy and eggs if you like in your diet.
No steak and eggs?
That's what you should have for breakfast. Eggs and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard.
I got it.
Good. Take some raw products, ground yourself electrically, block blue light after dark, and get some high-intensity burst and repeat exercise 45 minutes 3 times a week. That's what you need to do, and not worry about all this nonsense. Daniel, for goodness sake. It's not hard. It's taken care of by, 4.5 million years of evolution. You do not see pictures of people in caves standing around with calculators talking about whether their fucking ratios are right.
What? Haven't you seen those cave paintings?
I haven't. Have I missed something?
Yeah.
Is that the ones with the aliens coming down in the UFOs as well, and anal probing all the? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Super chat.
Yes.
Is visceral fat toxic in itself? Is it always bad to have any? If a person has visible excess subcutaneous fat, does that mean they necessarily also have dangerous visceral fat? Much ado about nothing.
How many question marks are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 questions in one.
Yes.
Would you send a bill, please, for 4 times the usual rate?
Charge the super chat.
Yes, so another $30. Thank you. Not necessarily is fat toxic in and of itself. Often toxins are stored in fat tissue, but they're not. I mean, fat is not in and of itself toxic, your own stored body fat, unless there's too much of it. Is it always bad to have...
fat is not great.
Sure. Is it always bad to have any? No, some amount might be quite handy if you're going to explore to the North Pole with Yellow Ted or something. Maybe then you go out with a bit of condition on you. If you're going to pose for the best damn hypertrophy trainer person in the world, probably not so good in that case. If a person has visible excess subcutaneous fat, does that mean they necessarily also have dangerous visceral fat? There would be a highly correlated set of circumstances there, but it's not a necessity or an absolute fact. If you want to check that absolute fact, you have to actually do the scanning that would be required to confirm that.
Also, if I may add,
you may.
That might have a little bit to do with your genes as well. Like Asian people, for example, easily get visceral fat, but not so much excess subcutaneous fat.
What about Asian dogs?
Well, they clearly have bad breath.
And bad manners.
And that.
The hallway carpet is not
but then
your bum paper.
Also, there are some groups of people that can be naturally quite fat and not have a lot of visceral fat. So probably depends a bit on your genes as well.
Such bigotry on the channel.
What am I supposed to do about these fucking facts? People have measured these things.
Apparently, himself, hey fatty, stop eating, that moron, that bloke. Apparently he's made a video now suggesting that dietary fat is causing cancer.
Well, if it's seed oil, it probably does.
Well, I haven't seen it yet, but I'll have a look at it at some point when I can be bothered with such things. Right.
But visceral fat, as far as I know, is actually having quite an impact on your hormones and stuff that other subcutaneous fat doesn't necessarily have. So even if it's not toxic, it can create unwanted health consequences of all sorts of kinds, I guess.
Including the kind that requires that drug called macoxaflopin?
Yes, probably. Macoxaflopin,
the little blue ones, yeah. Right.
6 years of treatment-resistant severe anxiety and depression. However, baked goods have been my crutch. How can I safely incorporate a cheat day until I'm mentally strong enough to drop it forever?
That's you.
Depends on what your definition of safely is. Like, do you want to have a cheat day every week until you're mentally strong to drop it forever? Then just plan for it. Plan how much you're going to have, what you're going to have, and stick with it. That way you're teaching your brain who's in charge. And you will learn to trust yourself.
Ted's in charge.
And then when you can trust yourself and you start deciding that I'm not going to have it at all, you can trust yourself to not have it at all. A little bit simplistic, but I'm using that technique with my clients as well, and it works. So if that's what you mean with safely incorporate it, then yeah. If safely means not affecting your blood sugar and such, then you can't do it. Because if you're going to eat baked goods, your blood sugar is going to go haywire, probably. So it depends on the definition of safely.
Yes, definitions.
Did Ted want to say something?
I think he just wanted to annoy Fluffy. Little
Good.
shit. Yeah. You might as well go back to sleep. You've been fucking about as useful as tits on a bull anyway, so...
Right. Do you still play guitar much? Who's your favourite all-time guitarist?
I play for an hour or so in the evenings when I'm watching some mindless crap on Netflix or some other less woke platform, as the case may be. It's mainly scale practice and stuff these days, and practicing chunks and bits out of songs that I used to remember how to play from start to finish that I don't anymore. Exercises, those kinds of things. But I'm not really paying the attention to it that I should be. If I was going to be earning any kind of money playing professionally in any way, which I'm not anymore, so that's probably why I don't do it.
That's a good reason not to do it.
Yeah, favourite all-time guitarist has to be Mark Tremonti. Can't go past. Although there are other worthy mentions, of course. Many of them. And the thing about who's the best guitarist in the world is that's subjective. And everybody will tell you something different.
Just ask for favourite, not best.
Right. Oh, well, that's, yeah, fair point. Well, my favourite is definitely Mark Tremonti, yes.
Drive fast. Why would I want to drive fast? Because it's fucking fun.
Dry fast, not drive fast.
I think he knows.
Yes.
Pim, how long do you plan to fast? 5.5 days. And the half days just because the last half is free if I sleep through it. And then after that, 7 days. I just want to do it stepwise.
Yeah.
Not overcommit. But so far I haven't had any massive pains or anything of that sort that some people get. So we'll see. What are your thoughts on using berberine with carnivore keto for diabetes and lowering A1C? I'm doing 2 MAD and fasting 16 to 20 hours and already dropped 5 pounds in 3 days or so.
Okay, that last bit is fantastic. Good work. Great job. Keep going.
If it was that fucking easy for me.
Yes. So that's good. Yeah, keep that going. And,
I have to drive fast to lose that amount of weight.
A good steady loss of weight is a good thing for a person that needs to. Berberine, not convinced about the gooditude of berberine. Lowering your A1C from what and why? Give it a chance.
Let's talk about that.
Well, yes, absolutely. Why not?
So everyone is so fucking concerned about the A1C, and then they look at their actual blood sugar, and it's not necessarily elevated at all. So if you were going online and looking at, okay, when the A1C is this, it's indicative of this sort of average blood sugar. It doesn't add up. So what's going on?
Well, there is now some good inference, at least in pilot work, that's been published in relatively recent times, confirming the belief that one's red blood cells tend to live longer on a species-appropriate, species-specific diet. Well, fuck me. Incredible. And that throws the A1C result artificially off because it assumes a certain lifespan of red blood cells that we carnivores are on average exceeding. So that makes it invalid. Secondly, there's no evidence whatsoever that an A1C, even getting up there, let's say 5, whatever, something like that, 5.5 I mean, there's no evidence anywhere that that's problematic for a person who has a stable blood sugar. It's only a problem if that's your average because you've had many peaks higher than that and many troughs lower than that. It's about the variability of your blood glucose in terms of the damage. It's not about what your A1C number is, especially if you're carnivore. Does that cover it?
I think so.
Cool. Are you happy with that?
Yeah. But people are still going to worry about it as soon as they get their A1C.
Of course they are. In the same way that people are going to message me every week and say, my doctor said my LDL was too high and I need to go on statins and stop that dangerous diet. Well, go and listen to the fucking doctor then. I don't care. Jesus.
You have to cut that out for a short.
Yeah. Go and listen to that doctor if that's what you want to do. It's your bloody funeral. But it's stupid.
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 Shall we do a super chat?
Yeah, super chats. You've been eating shit.
You disturbed the piece here. She was completely content to sit on my lap, and then you snatch her, and she starts going off.
Yes.
How long and how many times should you fast 72 plus hours for autoimmunity? I got minor relief from 3 days and probably need to go again for longer.
Result is the thing that's the most important thing, engaging how long you should do, how often you should do it, consistent with remaining sensible and not doing any stupid shit like, I'm going to dry fast for 100 days now, or whatever.
I don't think one would survive 100 days of dry fasting.
I don't either, but I could be wrong. I was wrong once before, I thought, but it turns out I was mistaken about that.
Yeah. Dark Sky, if you want some actual dry fasting information, I can send you an ebook if you email me. Pim at pimjohnson.com.
As in P-I-M.
Like that.
Janson, not Pam and not Johnson.
So
Neither
first name at firstlastname.com.
Yes, like that. Exactly like that. Good.
Right, let's see if we can find my way back to where we were. Huh?
Like that.
Yes.
What are you pointing at?
We're very, yeah.
It's not really there in front of her. It's all AI.
We are very, very far behind on the chat.
I mean, you can't knock it over because it's not
Is
real.
Is fluoride bad for the brain pineal gland?
It seems so, yes. I mean, it's identified as a nerve toxin. That's probably not a good thing.
No. What causes pimples, oily skin? Hormones?
Yes. And inflammatory type situations, infections sometimes, poor hygiene sometimes, bad dietary habits play a massive role in moderating, mediating. Yeah.
I just saw a comment that maybe you can share, because it's Dry Fasting Sunday here today.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a few 5-day dry fasts, and day 3 was always the toughest I found.
Yeah, okay. Me too.
Yeah, did I say? Like my brain is a little bit slow on this dry fasting thing. I feel like I'm
No, you're just keenly aware of how things are normally.
Is that so? I did go for a 2-hour walk yesterday, and then I had to have a 2-hour snooze after that.
Bork.
And that was day 3. Do you think jogging can contribute to sarcopenia?
Yes. If undertaken in the wrong way for a long period of time.
Is there a way to reduce bloating?
Yes, don't eat plants.
Remove whatever is making you bloated.
Yeah, and it's probably a plant or part of a plant. Almost certainly. Get rid of that stuff.
Or sucralose.
Sucralose can do it.
Or, any sweetener can do it for different people, depending on your gut microbiome.
Yes.
You mentioned that carnivores are 70% or more meat in their diet. What would be the least damaging foods if that 30% for ketogenic eating beginners?
I don't believe that there's any amount of plant material, currently available modern plant material, that humans should remotely consider eating. I think the answer in today's society is to go back to 100% carnivore. Our ancestors were probably consuming roots, not even much like tubers of today, and certainly not starchy in that way. They were more fibrous, rooty, gnarly, horrible things that had to be boiled to bits before people could chew on them for a bit and swallow that, and there was a small amount of fermentation possible, and that's all we got out of those. You should not consume carbohydrates, exogenous carbohydrates in your diet, not 1 gram ever for most people. There is no place in the human diet for fructose these days, especially not from modern human invented fruit.
Unless they're feijoas.
Yeah, well, and then in which case all bets are off. Yes, feijoas rule the world. I'm sorry, Ted, but it's the Feijoas. The king of the Feijoas is in charge now. Ted has been toppled. Oh, and apparently I've been taken down by James de Nicoli Nobles, according to his last video.
Well, the literal moron.
Yes, the literal moron. And really his latest video, well, I'm so mortified that he's actually taken... Finally I've been taken down, apparently. And as such, I'm now going to have to slink off and be mortified and embarrassed that I ever showed my face publicly. So this will be my parting gift to you as my response to James, wherein I announce that I'll be retiring now, because he's right, after all.
Good.
That won't be happening. Tune in tomorrow morning to see what does happen.
Yes.
Doesn't get any better from this boy. What's next?
Will this diet cure small gum infection?
We can't say it will cure anything, but it's quite likely that such things are more likely to be self-resolving according to your normal processes if you're eating a species-appropriate specific diet and doing a bunch of other things that are good for people to do as well. Maybe.
What process from ingesting dairy causes retention of weight as reported in some carnivores? Is it carbs or type of protein?
Yes, it's both of those things. It's a combination. It's a rich tapestry. Yeah. Certainly there'll be some Randall cycle activity, and especially in milk, full lactose milk.
I drink rainwater, then I realized it was a big plastic container sitting in the sun all day. Thoughts?
Yes.
Looking up the hill?
We've got one of those too. Those are those commercially produced tanks are rated according to the acceptable limits, but I don't know anything about that and whether or not we're actually copping any plastic out of that.
I don't know either.
Or anything that's leaching into it. But what we absolutely do, mostly for our drinking water, is put it through the RO filter anyway, so it's pretty damn clean.
Unless it's coffee. You don't use RO water for coffee, do you?
No. Like if I'm boiling water in the jug, I'm not ROing it. The main reason we RO is to make sure there's nothing, because our water comes out of a creek that runs, or a stream, or a river sometimes, depending, that runs past the property, and that's where our water is pumped into the holding tank on the hill, which then is gravity fed down to the house. And as such, it
actually tastes good, but it has an aftertaste I don't like. So just drinking water is more pleasant when it's
Is it all that farm runoff type?
Yeah,
that's pretty clean.
Sheep piss.
It's pretty good. Sheep piss.
That must be the aftertaste.
Yes.
Right, so what word should be used instead of calories when discussing the conversion of food to energy?
Well, food is not converted into energy. So, yeah. One could refer to energy in that discussion as the construct that it is, the thing that helps explain the observable phenomena, i.e. work gets done of some kind. I mean, you could say, yes, there is absolutely a mathematically derivable amount of energy involved in biological process. And then if you're going to be accurate, you would specify what form of energy that is that the human metabolism uses, and it's potential energy. And it's a subset of that called chemical potential energy.
I know you're just making it too complicated for normal morons to use it.
Well, that's the whole point. I mean, there is no word that you can throw at this that actually simplifies what is inherently a complex conceptual framework and appropriately describes what's going on.
Jonathan had something to say about it.
Yes.
Food mass, macronutrients, or mass of food are more appropriate terms.
Sure, absolutely, if you like. Yep, good.
Good.
Oh, he's up late, isn't he?
Go sleep, big boy.
Yes, go to sleep. Master Sergeant, big boy.
So if artificial
Otherwise...
sweeteners spike insulin, could them be used to reduce high blood sugar? No. That's not going to work. It's not going to give you enough insulin. And if you already have some fucking insulin resistance going on, you're just going to add to that fucking shit and create more chronically elevated insulin levels. If I'm not allowed to use the term insulin resistant.
You can use the term insulin resistant. Nobody is telling anybody what they can and cannot do.
Yeah, but the problem is that a lot of people have chronically elevated insulin. So if
Sure.
you then just take sweeteners and add even more insulin on top of that, it's not going to help.
Good.
Just going to make it worse.
Lovely.
Does one need to detox or de-acidify the body on a regular basis? If so, how would one do so?
Please watch every film I've put out in the last 2 weeks on my YouTube channel. It's covered there in great detail, and again tomorrow morning with my response to James DeNicoli No Balls. James DeNicoli, no idea.
Right. I've been doing carnivore for 4 months, hoping it helps with my anxiety disorders. Since then, my insomnia has worsened unless I eat fruit, Paul Saladino style. What's wrong with me?
That sounds like a consultancy issue that we can talk about and try and get you back on track and get your metabolism running the way it ought to run. I'm looking at serotonin, melatonin access there, and there's one or two things that we can do to intervene, I think, but that's a discussion in the background. So you'll need to consult. Yes. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on hydrogen and water?
I'm not convinced one way or the other yet. I'm still looking into it for somebody who wants me to look into it. There are some proposed benefits. Don't know if they're real or not.
Have you seen the longevity athlete Brian Johnson? Do you have any thoughts on his protocol diet? He takes over 100 supplements a day. Fucking hell.
I haven't sat and watched through any of his stuff myself. I've heard the name. I wouldn't necessarily recognise the face unless it had his name written underneath it. I know that he is a wealthy person who's decided that this is the thing he's going to do, and he's spending literally millions on trying to live forever or whatever. If his diet is anything other than a species-appropriate, species-specific diet, then I would suggest there's a serious problem right there. And I don't think there's anybody that needs to take 100 supplements of any kind. I think that's fucking
Sounds
ridiculous.
Crazy.
Frankly. Yep.
What does cause chronic high blood pressure?
What does cause chronic high blood pressure? Well, there are many things that can cause a person to have chronic high blood pressure. However, the most common cause that a person experiences will be chronically elevated insulin, leading to an inability to excrete sodium effectively, leading to an oncotic osmotic pressure differential, leading to a hypertensive situation.
So in this case, if someone with that condition eats more salt, is that going to cause higher blood pressure?
Yes, probably in that situation, if that is the underlying cause. Because that person is unable to excrete sodium. They are the opposite of what Saladino did. Made his kidneys all leaky. This is jamming them up by too much insulin. There you go.
So if I ate a lot of carbs...
If she ate a lot of carbs. Yeah, bless.
Then my blood pressure should go up massively.
So if you ate a bunch of carbs now, you mean?
Like ongoingly
Right.
a lot of carbs, like every fucking day.
Yeah.
Then my blood pressure should go up.
Over time, it would tend to drift that way, but nobody knows when the threshold is met and your homeostatic system breaks down and the blood pressure starts to cascade away from you.
Well, I ate a lot of carbs for many, many years, and that did not happen.
Many people get away with eating the wrong thing for many years and don't experience the thing that's more likely to occur given the mechanism as we understand it. People are variable. Which is quite different from being a constant, isn't it, James? You see how they're different things? No? Okay.
I do get some temporary joint pain from heavy cream, so I wonder if butter is still okay to consume, or is it best to avoid all dairy in my case? Try it.
Try it and see. Suck it and see. Where have you heard that before?
Are enemas ever indicated in what situations? I'm talking about coffee or water ones.
I have a colleague and friend who does use those in her practice, and she uses it for bile issues. So fine, that seems to be an indication. Personally, for myself, the only time I would consider it is if I was jammed up, and definitely jammed up, and I could palpate and feel that there was stuff jammed up in there and it wasn't coming out and magnesium wasn't working. Yeah. Super chat, super duper chat.
I have fiber and want to get rid of it, as I heard you fixed it. I would like your help with that, because I've had it for 3 years plus, and although it's improved, it's fucking annoying. Lol. I'd like to get your tips on how you have overcome it.
Yes, a 100% carnivore diet, or as close to it as you can possibly attain in your lifestyle. If you're not there already, don't go there overnight. Transition slowly and steadily so you don't upset your microbiome. Take your time, but get there. Also, take 3 products from Visceral, for which you will find the link in a bit.ly in the show notes under there. Type link. And the 3 products you want are Stem Enhance Ultra, Plasma Flow, and Cyactive. Best purchased in a wellness pack, because that will get you around about 18% discount, including the fact that you also won't pay for shipping that way. That's if you want to pay for the product at all. If you want it for free, we have a program for that too. Let me know about it in the background and I'll tell you what the program is. So that's that. The 3rd thing you should do is ground yourself electrically for as much of the time as you possibly can. The 4th thing you should do is block blue light from your eyes after dark using orange-coloured lenses. Yes, quite. That needs some WD-40, doesn't it?
Yes.
And the 5th thing you should... Shut up! The 5th thing you should do is to do some high-intensity burst and repeat exercise or resistance training, or both, 45 minutes at a time, 3 or 4 times a week, not on consecutive days. Job's a good one. And a bunch of other things you can do as well, but they're beyond those 5 and probably don't make much difference.
Manage your stress if you're very stressed.
Enhance your calm and your inner chi. Good.
I see. Do you think carnivore could cure Crohn's disease? Specifically, could it eliminate anal fistulas that often happen to Crohn's patients? In terms of the symptomology of this disease process, yes, it's entirely possible to put it into complete remission. Do you cure what is inherently a largely genetic intolerance for gluten, mostly? No. That'll be with you for the rest of your life, probably. But the good thing is there is not a required level of gluten in the human diet, that you can't have a gluten deficiency. So the answer is don't fucking eat gluten. And then over time, things heal up because they get an opportunity to. Probably take some raw products, as mentioned a few minutes ago as well. That helps with the renewal and repair process. And probably ground yourself electrically, block blue light after dark, and get some exercise as described. Sounds good, doesn't it? So more questions on Visceral.
Yes.
Is Visceral stem enhance increased telomerase? Are the resulting telomeres from the stem cells longer? Right.
No. Stem cells inherently have telomerase, and differentiated adult cell lines have ejected that gene so that they no longer have telomerase. That's what starts the biological clock on the life process of that cell line. And yes, when an adult stem cell is released either naturally or other naturally via Visceral products, and it differentiates into an adult cell line, yes, it does have a full-length telomere at that stage. Ergo has a biological age of none at all. I'm not allowed to say fountain of youth, so what I usually say is I'm not allowed to say it, and then I say it, and so now you've heard me say fountain of youth several times. It's not that, though. Not allowed to say that. Good?
Yeah. Hi, Bart and Pim.
Yes.
Dr. Berry said that galactose was more glycating than fructose. Is this true? If it is, carnivores should avoid dairy at all costs.
I don't know whether it is or not. I'd have to go and look that up. I trust Ken Berry, though.
Yeah.
He usually is pretty spot on. The reason that Ken Berry is usually pretty spot on is because if he's unsure about anything, guess who he asks? Shh. Right, good.
I think we have a super chat somewhere.
Super chat, no fucking singing.
Will a carnivore diet help someone that smokes marijuana and nicotine, trying to get him to stop, but I guess it's addictive? Any tips?
Well, eating a species-appropriate, species-specific diet is the most anti-inflammatory diet that's available. It's the one that's most likely, it seems, to be conduced to the best ends of the most healthful and longest lifespan. Whether that predisposes someone to deal with addictive issues or not, who knows? Maybe it makes it easier for them to achieve that in some way. That's really Pim's thing, being the good cop.
I've heard of people who have gone on a carnivore diet and all of a sudden they don't want to drink or smoke or whatever it is. But
Pussies.
Kid. In which case, I think what the carnivore diet is doing is dealing with excess inflammation, especially in the brain, providing enough amino acids to produce the right brain chemicals and so on. But if it has any grounding in, sort of emotional management, then I don't think it's going to help.
Good. Pam Johnson.
Yeah, I saw that. That's why I was laughing.
Pam Johnson.
Someone always have to say it, because you always say it.
Yes, because that's what people think you're saying, because of your accent.
Pim Johnson.
I am Pim. Jansson, if you like.
Jansson.
With a J and an
Pim
A.
Jansson.
Yeah, not Pam Johnson.
In Swedish.
No.
What can one do if largely eating a carnivore diet but is experiencing chronic fatigue?
You probably need to talk to me in the background so that we can work towards working out what the issue might be, thus telling you what we think you should do to probably ameliorate the situation. There's no general answer to that.
Yeah.
It's a consultancy issue.
My personal way of dealing with that, including the headache, is to intermittently refeed with 50 grams of carbs in the form of rice, usually. And that helps. I don't have a carb, I've never got it. I was a failed carnivore. I didn't do well on carnivore.
So, she's never had a license to be carnivore.
Nope. I'm fail. What does stem cells exhaustion really mean? Stem cells can replicate forever, right?
Yes, so it's nonsense.
That's what it means, nonsense.
Yeah. Sometimes there are things that can affect the efficacy of a person's stem cell system, which some people might be falsely referring to as stem cell fatigue. No, it's just that something's interfering with the way the process should work, in which case we should find out what that is and probably intervene if that's possible.
I'm actually hungry right now.
Oh, yeah?
Interesting. Got a hunger pang. Right. Ruminant-based carnivore for 4+ years. At the start, I couldn't eat much fat without digestive woes. Today, the amount I can handle is greater, but still less than many recommend. Is this an issue?
How do you feel? How do you present? What's your body composition like? Is it stable? How's your energy? Are you active, fit and healthy, at least for activities of daily living, if not at a higher level than that? We need much more information from you before we could say whether or not it seems like things are good.
Yeah, if you feel good, it's probably not a problem. Any equipment we can use for clean water, free of plastics, toxins, etc.
Today's world is a toxic world, isn't it? There are things, I'm sure, that you could make water containers out of that would be absolutely inert.
Drink your piss.
Stop eating, fatty. Drink your piss.
Sorry, I just had to say it. Fucking hell.
As I say, I'm imagining for some reason, with no reason to imagine, that the standards on these hill-mounted water containers are such that there's not a problem. Because I trust the government. Do you trust the government?
Oh, yes.
I should look into that, shouldn't I?
You should, because I can't be fucked.
You heard it first here.
And I would want to know for when we get our piece of land.
Yes.
How are we going to store our water?
Yes, we're going to buy a piece of land and we're going to secede from New Zealand and be the sovereign nation of Pimbatia.
See, I'm included now. It's very kind of you.
She's the queen.
What is the best way to release oxalates from the system?
Well, your body has its evil machinations in that regard. It kind of looks after that. You can speed it up by removing oxalates entirely from your intake, and you can slow it down by adding some in. And there are other things as well that you can do. Sally Norton's always on about that, and she probably told you at one point. She told me too in an interview once, but I do a lot of interviews and people tell me a lot of things. What did she tell you?
Mainly using something like magnesium, potassium, or calcium citrate. But you can also kind of take baths in different kinds of stuff. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was such a long time ago now.
Or if you want to take a bath in humble pie, you could have a crack at me on the interwebs and see how it goes for you, James. You could do that too.
New super chats. Oh, sorry. Let's do the first super chat first.
Yes.
Can carnivore diet help with common variable immune deficiency?
Yes.
Deficiency, I mean.
Yes.
Deficiency.
Yes, to some degree, of course. By virtue of nothing else than it is the most highly anti-inflammatory, false immune thing that we know how to tell people to do. It's incredible. The stories of remission from autoimmune problems, immune deficiency issues, all sorts of immune-related things. Also probably takes raw products, because one of the things that adult stem cells can differentiate into fairly readily is immune cells, if they're needed. Good.
Who is the female? Not like the girl, the woman. Who's the female? It says there.
Which female?
I assume me.
We don't recognise gender here.
No.
No.
I'm not a woman.
No.
I am something else.
So if your choices are a woman or not a woman, then that's binary reimposed again, isn't it?
This is a problem.
You could say I'm binary or I'm non-binary, which is a binary choice. So get fucked.
I'm fucking binary, but not a woman.
Who's binary?
Him.
And why is he getting all the fucking? Where's my fucking? What's next?
The next super chat.
Dave, how are you, mate?
Got my BPC at 157 today. Gonna start with 1 cap for 5 days, up it to 2 for 5 days, then 3 till it's done. 20 days. Sounds good?
Carry on, soldier.
Carry on, soldier. Very good.
And while you're at it, square this deck away, would you? And make sure that latecomers show up for latrine duties afterwards. Also, anyone that's still not here that arrives this late, you should probably send them to Ted. He'll be down the back after class with his bucket of soapy frogs and that wetsuit with the bottom cut out.
Yes.
Good. And his nipple clamps.
7 days without beef makes 1 week.
I see what you did there. I wish you hadn't. Yeah.
We are the channel for the stupid jokes.
Yes.
Can carnivore and cereal products improve fertility, and are cereal products safe to consume during pregnancy?
Well, it says on the bottle if pregnant or lactating, blah, 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 but it only says that on a precautionary principle on the basis that there is no long-term safety data to show that it is safe during pregnancy. There's no reason to believe it isn't. It's your choice at the end of the day. And the answer to your question is, in theory, absolutely, yes, but we're not allowed to say that it will, because it might not. Your body will decide what to do with the stem cells that you release. It's a bugger like that. It has its own priorities. Just like Ted has his own priorities.
High blood pressure is relative to your baseline, Pim.
Yes. Good.
But my baseline is about less than 100 over 60. And it doesn't go up. Never has been higher. Not even now.
Yeah.
When I'm dehydrated, it's still pretty much the same. Several of my friends' family suffer from vertigo. Will our way of life, carnivorous, grounding, etc., have any great impact on avoiding it?
I think so, Sonia, and I hope the weather is as good for you in your part of this fine, fine country as it is for us here. It's lovely, isn't it?
What is?
The weather.
Yes.
Yes. And we're sitting inside.
Are you going to go for a walk with me today?
Probably. That'll be nice.
Does grounding reduce the effectiveness of muscle hypertrophy?
I don't think so. There's no evidence that I've ever seen that would lead me to that conclusion. What mechanism would you think that would be involved in that, I wonder?
I guess you need inflammation to have that happen, and you get reduced inflammation if you ground, maybe?
Sure. Don't know. Don't think so. I don't think so.
Have you ever experienced high meat?
Oh,
How
God,
did
no,
the high
no,
feel?
no,
Similar to shrooms?
No, not going there. Not interested, not going there. No, thank you. No. Next.
Would you suggest priming before a fast, dry or not? Or is there no point?
Possibly, if someone presented in such a way as to make us think that maybe they needed to prime.
I would not do it right before a dry fast.
No, not immediately before.
No, not immediately before.
Mm.
I spent my last day this time just eating easily digestible eggs and such.
Eggs and steak and eggs.
Just kind of winding down a bit.
That's what you should have for breakfast.
Delicious. Cues, but the chat is stuck.
All right. We're doing overtime today, aren't we?
Yeah, I know, but we're almost there.
Good.
Do you recommend HRT for menopause or menopause weight gain?
I am not a medical professional, and as such, I don't recommend or otherwise any such thing with regard to any of that.
Do you folks drink public water? I think
no, we
already
don't.
answered
No,
that.
our water comes from the creek, stream, river that runs past the property.
Super chat.
Yes.
Hello, Professor. Can you point me to the literature that shows humans are obligate carnivores? Also, after 6 months on the carnivore diet, why does my urine smell like chicken noodle soup?
Uh-huh.
That's not bad, though, if it smells like chicken noodle soup.
The evidence suggesting the past of humanity, what we have absolutely eaten, ergo those genes which are selected for and against according to positive and negative selection pressures. The actual science tells us that we're obligate hypercarnivores. The exact intakes worldwide on any skeletal remains found anywhere around the world, anywhere between about 11 and about 100 and something thousand years old, all fall within a 5% range of each other, and it's 80% meat and animal fat and 20% rooty, fibrous things is what people ate. I don't think there's a need for us to eat rooty, fibery things. I think that's what we did when we weren't so good at getting a mammoth together that week or something. And certainly not. Well, were there anything like modern fruit and vegetables available to humans? We're not evolved for that. They're not designed for us. They're full of sugar and fiber, which we don't need. They're full of toxins, which we don't need. It's all just common sense, really. But there's no study within this ring-fenced area of ideology called the human nutrition sciences, because all of that's just nonsense. It's pseudoscientific crack pottery. Garbage, all of it. Your urine smells like chicken noodle soup. Well, that's good, because mine smells like ketones and piss. So I'd take that as a win. Welcome, by the way, to the community.
Splinterella.
Yes.
I like it. We say that using fat as an energy source is cleaner for the mitochondria. Is any toxic produced as a result of using glucose in mitochondria?
Not directly, no, because the results are the same. However, carbohydrates are toxic to our bodies on a higher level. Under the influence of how mitochondria react, they're the thing that causes the Randle cycle to occur, but the Randle cycle having occurred, that's the thing that causes the problem. I guess. It's not that there is a toxic byproduct, it's that there is a toxic reaction to the input of unnecessary over-the-top levels of carbohydrate. Yes.
Smash that fucking like button, maggots.
Yes. Good work, Master Chief. Carry on.
Someone smashed it so it broke. So now no one can smash it anymore.
Oh.
Rude.
Master Chief, could you get maintenance down to the like button and make sure that it's unsmashed so that it can be smashed again by others? Yes, good.
Yeah. But do you believe your peers in academia were simply incompetent or willfully malicious?
If I had to be really brutally honest, I think it's the former more so than the latter. Unfortunately. I mean, we've seen examples even recently, haven't we, James DeNicoli, No Ideas Onio, of people with PhDs, hundreds of publications and tens of thousands of citations to as hundreds of publications, who can't follow simple basic logic. They're giving out bloody PhD certificates like certificates off the back of a Weet-Bix box, a cereal box.
Weet-Bix.
Weetabix in Australia and in the UK. Weet-Bix in New Zealand.
Really?
Yes.
It doesn't have an A?
No. It's called Weet-Bix.
I thought you were saying it wrong.
No. I never say anything wrong.
Bullshit.
So, I think that's mostly incompetence with a little bit of evil thrown in. Yep.
Is it possible to lose weight with high insulin or get fatter by eating just fat, low insulin?
It's very, very difficult to gain significant body fat by eating fat because your body stops you from eating it one way or another. When it's had enough and it wants no more fat to be taken in, thank you very much, you can keep putting it down your body if you like, but you'll just shit it out untouched. You'll just get completely, you cannot overdo it with fat. It's impossible. You can overdo it with sugar. Absolutely can. And your body is geared to store all of that. Because it was so rare as we evolved. It was they were like 2 weeks a year just before the winter, just when we needed to put a bit of condition on to get through the cold winter. And that's what happened.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to lose weight with high insulin, though.
Yes, it will.
Because insulin prevents you from breaking down any body fat.
Yes, and or releasing it.
Yeah.
Release the hounds, Smithers.
So I probably have about 0 fucking insulin going on right now.
Ning, ning, ning.
There we go.
Ew.
What do you think of fermented foods? Dr. Sean O'Mara promotes them.
I don't believe it's a good idea. I don't think it's necessary, and I wouldn't do it myself, personally.
What about, yogurt or kefir?
Yogurt, I do. That's a fair point. Well made. I do eat an amount of yogurt, plus or minus, from time to time.
I got some kefir in the fridge.
Ugh, I know. At the moment, however, I'm not eating much yogurt at all. Because I'm not eating the blueberries that I was eating with the yogurt.
No, it's gone over to ginger wine.
Yes. Ted. Can't take them anywhere. Ted, did I tell you? Ted only left that much in the bottle.
I haven't had to order blueberries for a month, I think. And there's still blueberries in the freezer. That's an indication that you haven't touched them.
He thinks he's smarter than the average bear, but he's not.
No?
He keeps killing his brain cells with alcohol. Stuff.
How can we ensure that we are getting enough calcium and magnesium without taking supplements?
Eat meat.
Okay, that was the last question.
Very good. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for the super chats, those of you who super chatted.
And if you don't know who the fuck I am, go and subscribe to my channel under that fucking name. There.
Do that.
Pim Johnson.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting.
Yes, Pam Johnson. Thank you, Master Chief, for running the deck during the show. Thank you to the Master Sergeant Jonathan, who was here earlier before poor lad had to put his head down because it was late. Oh, shit. Now we're in trouble. Right. In the meantime, the only thing left, of course, for us to do is to sing the national anthem, which goes a little bit like this.
Jesus.
Steak and eggs and eggs and steak. That's what you should have for your breakfast. Delicious.
Oh, I hit his nose.
Eggs and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard. I got it. See you next time, maybe.
Bye.
Bye.